Hello, 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 everyone. This is Dr. David checking in. I so wish we could actually chat face to actual when we do with Zoom, but I'll take the chats for now. So it's Friday night. I'm feeling my oats a little bit, or Friday afternoon, I should say. For some of you, it's Friday night. Jeanette says hello from Australia. Hello, PH Alkaline, Jode, Sheila Denise, Jode Hill, Jeanette, Adriana, Aisha, Sheila. Okay. So you got me for a little while till my next client shows up. What do you want to talk about? What's been on your minds? I've been away for a while. I've been in Australia, touring the countryside and kind of seeing what my folks down below the equator are up to. Our Wallace says, rock on, Tatiana. Hey, Sonic, Pranic, Taoist, Priest. There's a whole lot in that sentence. Have we met in real life, Sonic? There's Donka. Hey, sweetie pie, how you doing? It's Saturday here, so you must be in Australia. Hey, Jeanette. I still can't get the heart thing right. I'm working on it, though. Like, my heart's all misshapen. I guess white guys can't do two hearts, hand hearts. Hey, Matt. Hey, there's Laura. You guys got any questions? Anything you want to talk about today? What's on your mind? Hey, Eric. Good to see you again, brother. Hey, who's all coming to Hypno Thoughts? You guys coming to see me in Hypno Thoughts? You're going to do the 11-day back-to-back marathon training with me? Jones in the Balkans. Wow. Okay. Cool. I think Jude, you're my first Balkan student. Any tips on reading faster? Photo reading is really good. The Evelyn Wood speed reading training has been around forever. The only other suggestion is to actually increase your processing speed. So NLP processes for like time distortion and accelerated cognition that might indirectly improve your reading speed. Those would be the only things that that come to mind. Donka says, I'm just about to fall asleep. Then boom, you showed up first as image in my mind and actual notification. Well, perhaps we're just in sync that way, Donka. You know what I'm saying? Know what I'm saying, baby? Narwala says, what's our back-to-back selection this year? Actually, it's really good. We have the 4-day identity by design, zero to hero hypnotherapy certification. And then I'll be teaching 2 4-hour blocks and 1 1-hour block. So we'll be teaching hidden laws of attraction. We'll be teaching face reading for fun and profit. And then I think speed hypnosis, energy healing. So we've been getting a tremendous amount of inquiries about beginner, intermediate, and advanced energy trainings. And so you'll probably see a little bit of it in 2024, but 2025 we'll be doing a whole lot more with energetics and spirituality and things of that nature. But for those of you who want to get a head start on it, on the post-conference for Hypno Thoughts, we'll be doing a 4-day vibrational healing, and I'll be pulling out some seriously powerful stuff that's never seen the light of day outside of certain closed door circles. So I'm excited to be able to kind of play with you guys for that. And then, of course, whatever the folks at Hypno Thoughts want me to fill in, they when people bail or presenters don't show up, a lot of times they'll come to me to fill a slot. I actually had other presenters come to me last year to fill in because they got COVID and they couldn't teach the class, so I taught their classes for them. So I'm kind of the guy that people come to when they want something cool, but at the spur of the moment, because I seem to have a lot of stuff. Let's see here. Juice says, I'm from Yemen. I live currently in the Balkans. Okay. You're just an international citizen, aren't you, Jude? So HTL, you're doing 7 days. So just to make it more clear, HypnoThought's 11-day hypnotic certification celebration is 4-day identity by design, and then hidden laws of attraction, energy healing, speed hypnosis, and FX reading for fun and profit. And then the post-conference is the 4-day vibrational healing accelerated certification program. Okay, let's see here. So Sheila says, I haven't seen you for a long time. I feel that's what I needed for today. Do you have any tips for self-confidence about the imposter syndrome? Yeah, everybody goes through it. Feeling like an imposter is actually relatively healthy. It's very common. Understand that your nervous system always makes things look about 400%. Well, let me put it to you a different way. If good things have a charge of 1, like say you have a good event, your nervous system gives it a gravity of 1. If you have something that's negative, it gives it a gravity of 4. So hold that thought for just a second. Sorry about that. I had a phone call I had to take for a second. But imposter syndrome is something that we all go through. I certainly have, and I continue to go through it from time to time, depending on the sunspots and things like that. The secret is, chances are, if you feel like an imposter, you're probably not. I know a very, very famous persuasion and influence behavioral sciences trainer that had similar feelings that I did. He came to me one time and he asked me about that kinds of feeling. And I said, I think everybody has it. It's normal. It's human, especially when you're good at something or you're doing something. Like if it's something that's on your golden path, many times something that comes so easy for you and doesn't come easy for everyone else, we feel like, what's the big deal? I'm not that good. But in reality, it's because you have a talent or a skill or an ability that you've earned the right to access in this lifetime, or you came in with those genes flipped on. And because it's easy for us, we assume it's easy for everybody. Because it's easy for everybody, we don't see what's the big deal. Right? You should understand the train of logic. So, and a lot of times the imposter syndromes that we deal with have their roots in early childhood. And so the fastest way to find out where it comes from, if it's something that you feel you need to get rid of, for lack of a better word, is to ask yourself a simple question. When did I first ever feel this way, and who was it with? And follow your first impression. Use the 6 dynamics of an unconscious response, and follow that. And you'll find out very, very quickly that the feelings you're having aren't really about the present moment. They're connected to that very first experience. And when you resolve it at that level, then those imposter feelings or whatever other feelings tend to hold you back. All limiting beliefs kind of have their etiology this way. And you'll find that a lot of that starts to clear up. Or you'll have a sudden epiphany or a change in how you think about your skills and abilities that dramatically changes your life experience. Let's see here. I hope that helps, Sheila. But confidence is something that happens after the fact. So remember that most people that I know who we would consider self-confident are actually just relentless. And what that means is they're courageous. And what that means is that they're faced with something that maybe they've never done before. Maybe they don't have confidence in their ability to do it, but they know it needs to get done. And so they become relentless. They say, I don't know how I'm going to do this, but I'm going to figure it out and I'm going to keep going until I do. And what happens is when you get on the other side of that experience, that's when the confidence comes, right? So I try to steer people away from the classical understanding of confidence, not because it's not important, but because we give it the wrong kind of importance in our world. What I have found functionally is when people say, I want to be more confident, what they're actually saying is I want to stop being afraid. I want to feel comfortable in this situation. We didn't come here to be comfortable. We came here to be challenged, right? And so that feeling of being challenged is something that motivates us and inspires us, right? Comfort zones tend to lull us into a state of lethargy or stasis. And they're very seductive. God knows I deal with it all the time, right? But one of the things I want you to understand is if you have to embrace this idea of confidence, then here's a definition that I think might help. And again, if I'm going way off base with what the information that you're looking for, just tell me, and I'll see if I can pivot a little bit. But this is the definition of confidence I give for the students in Planet David who come to our live events and really get into the meat of the secrets that we have here. And that's this: confidence, as we define it, is a feeling of is a sense of relentless determination combined with the expectancy of a positive result. So let me say that a couple more times. It's a state of relentless determination to achieve, combined with the expectation of a positive result. Once again, a state of relentless determination combined with the expectation of a positive result, right? As long as you keep going, you can't fail, right? And when you achieve that goal, the moment you get on the other side of it and you realize what you've done, that's where the confidence comes in. So confidence in my world has always been a more of an afterthought. It's an after state that happens after you've overcome the challenge. What you need to succeed prior to that moment is relentless determination. And if you combine that with an expectation of a positive outcome, then you're far more likely to achieve a positive outcome faster. So I hope that helps. Let's see. Sonic's asking, my folks are fixing to show up. I have no specific questions, but really appreciate all you do. Thanks for helping humanity. My pleasure. My pleasure. Danka, what's your view on chiropractic adjustment for healing stuff like TMJ or digestion issues? I'm thinking Gonstead method specifically. Okay, I'm not familiar with Gonstead. The best person to ask for that is actually my wife, Dawn, who actually is a chiropractor. But I think chiropractic is a great modality for healing a lot of things. TMJ has had a lot of benefit from chiropractic, but I'm not familiar with the Gonstead approach to it. I know they use a device, but that's all I've got right now. Hopefully that helps. Liam is saying, hello, Dr. David. Liam checking in. Glad to see you today. Glad to see you back. Revelation, how effective are yin formations? Ridiculously effective. In fact, I challenge you to test them. Take out a list of classic affirmations the way you've been taught them, and then give it a reasonable amount of time, and then start playing with the yin formation process and notice the change in your body feelings and how rapidly or slowly those things develop. If you're practicing classical law of attraction, which is all about what you think about, you bring about, the informations are actually a far more effective way to program the mind and the nervous system to attract what you want. Been dealing with G-forces from change. If you catch my drift, need to do some recouping. How do you feel about the Twin Hearts meditation from Coxswain? The Twin Hearts meditation is great. You'd probably have to modify it a little bit. No, as long as you ground really well afterwards. The problem with the Twin Hearts, if it's done well, is that it builds up a huge amount of energy. And what I see happen a lot of times is practitioners don't ground the energy well enough after the meditation. So either really spend a lot of time focusing on your lower Dan Tien, do some physical exercise, which is always very grounding in and of itself. Or what's the other thing I was thinking about? Focus on lower Dan Tien, do physical exercise. Those are the two. And salt baths will take care of any excesses, but circulate also. One of the things that will help if you do create an excess condition is circulating. Again, this is not from the pranic healing system, but if you circulate the microcosmic orbit, as taught in most Taoist systems, that will help to rebalance any excess conditions that you lock in, you create in the body by all the energy that you're bringing in, but then make sure that you bring it all back and root it in the lower Dan Tien. And so if those of you don't know where the Dan Tien is, if you take your navel and push, push through to your back, so the space where those my two fingers meet, cross-reference with the perineum, this is your lower Dan Tien area. This is where you want to store any kind of energies that you work with. And it doesn't matter what kind of energies you're working with. After you've done doing whatever processes, you always bring it back into the lower Dan Tien for safety and for storage. Okay. If you create excess conditions in the body, circulating the fire path of the microcosmic orbit will help to pull that energy. It's kind of like a centrifuge. It'll help to rebalance things. Now, if you're doing a lot of energy work, I'm just going to put this out there because nobody talks about this, because if they did, fewer people would do energy work. If you're doing energy work right, your shit's going to come up. First, you'll bliss out. And then if you're doing it really well, then your system will want to start to purify itself, or want to start to when it purifies itself, it wants to purge. So don't be surprised if you're doing these energy systems for a long period of time, if emotions and bad negative feelings come up. That's not a sign that you're sick necessarily. It's a sign that you're clearing. And most of us have way more stuff to clear than we realize. So we think it's, because it can go on for a fairly long period of time. We think there's something wrong with us, when in actuality, there's something very right with us. We just have to let that shit go. And every system has some way of helping you get rid of that. Okay. So I hope that helps. Sheila says, makes total sense. Liam says, had an epiphany with Magic Circle, by the way. I'm writing my own book, got a case writer's block. So I called an avatar of the character I was writing a scene from, and bam, writer's block. Awesome. Awesome. It's funny. One of my students, Seth, was working with a client and who had horrible writer's block. And he actually wound up doing chair therapy with the writer, and who the guy put in the chair was one of the characters from the book. And the character in the chair said, look, you're having writer's block because you need to make my part bigger in the book. And they went back and forth until finally the guy relented that he'd give him a bigger part. And all of a sudden, poof, the writer's block was gone. Very weird stuff, right? But this is the life of a hypnotist. This is how it rolls, right? Let's see here. Shaman, when we meet someone who has reached high levels of consciousness, like a bandler or a native shaman, do you think there could be an imprinting of mirror neurons like we do in DTI? Yes. Your mirror neurons don't shut off. Your mirror neurons are active all the time. What changes in terms of mirror neuron engagement is the level of rapport or suggestibility or openness that you have to the person in general. So for example, using Richard as an example, Richard can affect you in one of two ways. It can be either through extreme rapport, someone who you really admire, or someone that you're hold in extreme authority, right? So you can really like Richard, or you can see him as this avatar of cosmic power that is an authority in your world. Either of those states will create a tremendous amount of receptivity in your mirror neuron network, okay? And you will imprint whatever is being sent out. Native shaman, very, very similar. If you hold this person in extremely high esteem, if you like this person, you have a deep level of rapport with this person, then the imprinting that you receive will be stronger than if you do not have that kind of a connection. Okay, so there's a lot of really interesting things we can do with mirror neurons, but a lot of it is mediated by the state of consciousness you're in at the time. So I hope that helps. Let's see here. Danka says, it helps indeed. Thank you for the response on chiropractic. Been stuck not being able to shift some issues despite lots of emotional work. The usual is tough. Many acupuncture and herbal treatment. Yeah, chances are it's just stuff you have to let go of, Danka. It's one of the things I'm seeing more and more, and I say this because I've literally even after a stem cell injection, I still had some residual stuff going on in my back from 3 herniated discs. And I started embracing a lot of the alchemical practices I've been learning in my medical Qigong class, a lot of my own hypnotic processes, and started integrating them. And I just started diving into my own body. I started diving into and following the forces in my body. And through a process of systemic mindfulness and things like that, I started to unpack things. And one day I was just lying in bed doing this process, and I felt, have you ever seen like an air bubble traveling through a hose, right? And it kind of bulges as it moves. I felt that literally moving through my meridians. And when it hit the spot where my back pain was, it just it was just like somebody let the air out of a tire. And I've been doing series of processes on myself, physician heal thyself. And it's just been getting nothing but progressively better and better and better. I'm still taking it very cautious with getting back into martial arts full time and doing things like that. But again, I've been saying this for years and years and years and years. But sometimes you may be very good at this stuff, but the person you spend the least time working on is yourself. Sometimes the answer isn't outside of you. You have to go inward. And one of the things I see over and over and over again is disease, injuries, chronic degenerative stuff is almost always emotion. It's a physiological, energetic metaphor that our body is creating based on an issue or a set of issues that we haven't fully resolved and unpacked and let go. It's usually things we've been repressing and denying. And I'm the king of denial. You should call me, Heopatra or something, because I have a lot of stuff that I thought I'm smart. I understand that differently now. Well, just because you understand it differently now doesn't mean you've let it go from back then. And that's the rub, is that many times, like, we've learned things from these experiences, and we won't repeat those mistakes. But at some level in the body, there's an energetic charge and a set of memories and stories connected to that issue that's manifesting as a physical symptom. And we really need, again, if we're practicing alchemy, we really need to be willing to run into those places for however long it takes to find those emotional pockets and let them come up and understand what they were about. And it's weird because it's just sometimes when they come up, at least for me, it was like just a couple of words, like not being supported, or not having enough support, or not getting support. That the minute it came up and that revelation happened, all of a sudden, all these other memories and stories and experiences that were circling around this hub of not being supported came up. And the minute I did, the back pain went away. Because along with the process of discharging that energy came the idea that, hey, no one is going to support you. If you're moving through the world looking for other people to support you, you're looking in the wrong place. The person who you most need to support you is you, right? And the problem is we lose track of that. We forget that. And so we create expectations because we have friends and we have family and we want their support. But they really can't give you the kind of support that you need sometimes. Now, again, I'm speaking from my personal experience in this. You're all going to have these, if you engage in this process, and identity by design training and regression training, and a certain level of mindfulness or systemic mindfulness training is really kind of the combination that you need to really tap into these processes. And then you need to be able to stick with them for quite a while. Most of us aren't willing to do that for whatever reason. But a lot of times, if we're running outside of us, this modality and that modality, chances are we're looking in the wrong place. Okay. And again, we also set an expectation that, oh, once I find this one thing, everything will be gone. I haven't found that to be true either. Many times sometimes there's these big, home run type transformations that you go through. And a lot of times they come in stages, like layers of an onion skin. 1 second, guys. I'll be right with you. Sorry about that. We're here at the Mega Platinum House, and I've got students coming over, and the wife is dropping the kids off, and it's going to be a madhouse any minute. So I apologize that I keep jumping off, but at the same time, I wanted to spend some time with you all. And hold on a second. Where did my... Oh, there it is. Sorry about that. Apparently this browser opened in Firefox. Let's see here. Hold on a second, folks. I got to tell the kids to be quiet. Gracias. Sophie, first of all, I'm doing an AMA. Second of all, Moss is on his way over here, and he's going to want to use one of those televisions. So if he gets here, whatever he wants, you get out of his way. No. Yes, key. The chaos is starting. Anyway, let me answer these questions. Looks like we may have to do a shorter or maybe pick up tomorrow. By the way, how many are coming to the mastermind tomorrow? By a show of hands. How many of you plan on coming to the mastermind? Oh, let's see here. Any tips when doing DTI? Yeah, when you're doing deep trance identification, create as rich an exemplar, an avatar as possible, which means immerse yourself in the people whose traits, qualities, and characteristics you truly want. Get as much of the things that they've written, preferably by hand as humanly possible. Watch as many videos, spend as much time with them live, watching them perform. And then when you create your avatar, bring all that in, right? It's a very powerful process, but the magic is in the prep, in creating the avatar, right? What I actually do sometimes is I used to create, and I still do from time to time, is I create loop videos of if there's a particular martial arts skill or meditation or mantric sound that I'm working, I'll create an endless loop of that person and I'll just watch it over for hours. And then I'll run through the movie in my head as if I'm watching it on a movie theater screen. I'll keep doing that until it generates the body feelings that I'm going for. So those are some things that I do and have worked very well for me. Let's see here. What are your thoughts on content-free hypnosis, considering your position on regression to cause? Content-free hypnosis is super powerful when it's done well. Everything that you learn in Identity by Design is content-free hypnosis, right? It's all structure and color and light and sound, but we don't ask anybody what the story is, right? So the entire Identity by Design system is technically content-free, right? So unless you have a different meaning for content-free, that's kind of where we're at. Let me see here. when doing image cycling, this is Blute. When doing image cycling, do you cycle image about the same topic in a sequence or just many random wishes and desires? Well, if you're trained to do image cycling the way Bill does it or the way that we teach it, there's a list that you create. And you spend a lot of time internalizing and embodying that list, and then you cycle through it. And when you start to cycle through it, as you speed up, the linearity of it's going to break down. You may get, the first thing, and then the middle thing, and then the second thing, and then the fifth thing, and it'll start to, the sequence will start to become very nonlinear many times, and let that happen. Just keep cycling through the list, right? Just cycle through the list. Hopefully that helps. Eric says, perhaps this is a better question for your treatment rooms, but what does TCM have to say about reversing pulmonary fibrosis? When we're looking at any form of lung problem, we're looking at some form of internalized grief. When you're looking at any kind of fibroma, it's almost always a combination of grief and rage, grief and anger. Like a lot of your breast cancers, for example, also pertinent to the breast area, to the lung area, the metal area in the body, grief and rage. And so, you get tumors or fibroids, things of that nature. You're looking at usually some form of grief and combined with rage. So like metal combined with fire. Lightworker, low frequency people will not be open to those operating in a high frequency. They are stuck in their limiting beliefs. True enough to be true, but there are times when that actually isn't the case. It really depends on the belief systems you're having to deal with. Let's see here. Oh, Agnes, thank you, Agnes. Thank you for donating. I really appreciate that. That's wonderful. Man, there's a lot of questions. I hope I get to all these. Let's see here. David, haven't seen you in forever, my brother. Gift suggestions to help deal with or clear insomnia. Thank you very much. Okay, a lot of times when we're dealing with insomnia, again, you're a TCM guy, so start looking at heart fire and start looking at clearing like heart sounds, like I don't know if you're familiar with 6 healing sounds. That would be very good. Especially if you've got a lot going on, spending more time on the heart sound and the lung sound. Now, and the triple warmer sound will probably go a long way in helping you to sleep better. Also, focusing your mind on your Yun Chen points, your kidney 1 points, will pull the energy away from the head and down into the feet. And as it pulls down away from the head and into the feet, you'll tend to get more drowsy. So are those the kind of suggestions that you're looking for, David, or is there something more specific? Terrence Pleasant, and it only gets better. That's right. Donka says, I feel K. I don't know what that means. Lightworker, David, 25 milligrams of Seroquel. Okay. Shimon says, that makes sense. I got blasted by healing songs while on DMT and rewired me. Words create worlds. Hi, Dr. Snyder. I'm curious. Would you ever move from San Diego to another state? Absolutely. Absolutely. I own property in several other states, as a matter of fact, or in at least one state and looking at more. So I think it's important to have different places that you can go, especially when the political climates change from time to time. But yeah, I would absolutely consider living in another state if I thought it was a step up, if it was adding more value to my life or giving me and my kids and my wife more opportunities, right? I happen to be in California because it seemed to have been, for me, one of the most fertile soils to create the institution that we've all come to know as Planet David. It's been tremendously good to me. But every place I've lived, from Pennsylvania to Florida to Oklahoma to Texas to California, has always taken my life to the next level and broadened my scope. So the short answer is yes, and that's my long drawn out answer for those of you who just like to hear me rant or ramble, as the case may be. Let's see. Donka says, I feel I've been taking on people's shadows a lot recently, like out of nowhere, reflecting their subconscious blocks, and often feeling something in my body that had to clear fast. Okay. And what are you doing? What do you want to do about that, Donka? I mean, I understand what you're experiencing, but what is it you want to do about it? Or what do you want instead? Lightworker says, pulmonary fibrosis irreversible. I don't believe anything's truly irreversible. Okay. You just haven't found the pathway yet. Right. Liam Folan, here to looking inwards. All right. Shambhala Wellness Dojo. Could new back spasms be tied to a broken relationship, and could manifestation be used to heal both? The answer is yes. Yes. Back stuff tends to relate to support issues. And that could be physical, financial support. It could be emotional support. And a broken relationship can certainly be the cause of a perceived loss of support. Now, I'm sure there's other things that a back issue could be, but for sure, the short answer is yes. It can absolutely be both. And yes, healing is just a form of manifestation. And that's something people need to remember. When you come here to learn healing, remember that healing is just manifestation, or in some cases, demanifestation, right? Because you created the disease to begin with, and now you're going to manifest a transformation or a change or a shift. All disease that we experience are perfect examples that we can manifest. Nobody wants to own that, which is, again, another form of denial. But remember, if your body created it, that's manifestation, isn't it not? Isn't that what we learn to do, is through thought and intention and emotion? We create things. Well, I've been unpacking people's negative manifestations for over 20 years, clinically, over 15 years clinically. Although it's 2023 now, so it's probably longer than 20 years, because I still see clients, just not as many. But yeah, so let's see here. Yeah. Donka, I've been doing state control drills like many times a day, and pretty much every day, clearing and shadow work and release, going inwards pretty much all the time, shedding tears daily. I need a break. Take a break. Focus on something that brings you joy, right? Here's one of the things I learned from one of my Sifu, Jerry Allen Johnson. If the spiritual work that you're doing isn't bringing you joy, yes, there's going to be shit. There's going to be ups and downs. If it's not bringing you joy on a consistent basis, it's the wrong path for you, right? Spiritual paths should bring people to greater degrees of joy and happiness and light. So spend more time focusing on joy instead of looking for more shit to clear. Shit's going to come up, but remember, joy is healing. Laughter is healing. These higher vibrations, these playful feelings that we talk about all the time are healing. Get on your golden path. Do the things that make your heart light up, that bring more of your spirit into the body, right? Yes, there will be times to do shadow work, but don't focus on it. Let the things come up as they need to come up and just keep going. Okay. Let's see. Big Wee says, what's up, everyone? Kimberly D, sir, any good books on copywriting? Any suggestions? I like John Carlton's stuff myself. Anything by David Garfinkel is really good. Harlan Kilstein has some good stuff. But they all go back to a guy by the name of Dan Kennedy, who wrote a book called The Ultimate Sales Letter. Okay, so I would start there. Dan Kennedy has made more millionaires than McDonald's sells hamburgers, and he's done it all through direct response, which is copywriting in one form or another. So start with The Ultimate Sales Letter, and then get everything he's done that pertains to copy. From there, I would look at John Carlton. I would look at Gary Halbert's work. I would definitely look at David Garfinkel's work, and I would actually look at Harlan Kilstein's work, primarily in that order, if that makes any kind of sense. Okay. Liam, I owe you a lot of thank yous, Dr. David. You've changed my life forever. I'm even getting my doctorate in forensic profiling, all because of your story of going to school yourself. I am new due to you. God bless. Pay it forward, my friend. Just keep going. Light work. RJ Spina. Don't know who that is. Liam Folan. Kids done. Yep. Let's see here. Eric Rounce, Mastermind, just give an invite. The invites are in the diamond level of the YouTube channel, and they're in the Mastermind Facebook group. So if you're a member of either of those, you should have a link to join the Mastermind tomorrow. So go check there, Eric. Well, Lightworker, if that's your belief system, then that's fine. I'm not going to challenge your belief system. My belief system is a little bit different. Okay. Could you perhaps suggest some effective informations for rapid and effective change? What do you want to change? Type in what you want to change. Liam says, I do that too when watching you for DTI. Okay, Captain Jack Snyder. You guys are funny. Now, Wallace, now that we're speaking of lungs, when I was a baby, I had the RSV virus. Any thoughts on the emotional ties for that? Again, lung issues tend to go back to some form of loss. And it's usually grief, sorrow, sadness. Right. But if you have some lines that start here and venture across, it's probably more related to the loss of something that was very special to you. Susan says, deal with trauma. Alessandro, hey, Dr. David, had a quick question. I've been meeting girls and having good flirty interactions that usually last about 10 minutes that lead nowhere. How can I have the girl wanting to see me again? Get her to talk about herself. The problem many times is that you're basically waiting for them to be done talking so you can talk about you, or you're shortcutting the process, and they're detecting an agenda with you. So one of the things that needs to happen, if you want people to spend more time with you, learn to become genuinely curious about them. And just seek to find out if they're a cool person who likes to do cool stuff. Take your sensual agenda off the menu, and you'll find out that many times they'll put it back on. Talk about things that light them up like a Christmas tree, right? And you'll find that that's a way to go, right? Don't try to be cool. Don't try to be, to achieve, show your social status or peacock. Get them talking about their favorite subject, which is themselves. Reference the 3 Magic Questions protocol if you haven't already. If you've got the Attraction Mastery course, there's a whole flow chart in there of ways to get people talking and interacting with you. Once you have the 3 Magic Questions down, that's where I would go next. Okay. Let's see. Lunda Bellacci, or is it Lundo Bellace? Or hope I get that right now. I'm glad things are going well for you. Is there a way to get access to Resource Recruiter 5? I only have reach out to Stephanie. She should have it. If not, email me and I'll see if I can find it for you. But Stephanie should be able to get it to you. Kimberly D. How was I able to manifest the job opportunities I wanted easily with a minimum preparation on my part? But now when I try for a similar position, I don't get the final stage. Well, without seeing you in action at the interviews, I don't have a good answer other than there's something you're missing in the interview. There's some criteria or value that you're not tapping into during the final interview stages that allow you to close the deal. That would be where I'd start. Do dreams have any significance, or are they just mental nonsense when deep asleep? The answer is yes. Certain types of dreams can have significant meaning. Other types of dreaming are actually the subconscious mind clearing things. Okay. One of the things I was taught when it comes to dream work is that you focus on the words that were spoken in the dream, not necessarily the imagery, and go with whatever initial meaning you assign to the dream, right? Because dreams are extremely personal. And while there are certain archetypes for dream imagery, they change from culture to culture. So when I was studying Kabbalistic dream interpretation, one of the first things they said was, what does the dream mean to you? When I was working with Dr. Johnson, he was talking about dream interpretation and dream magic. That was actually one of the things he says, what does the dream mean to you? Go with that. Now, remember that for anything you get in a dream, there can be multiple meanings, right? I would go with the first one that pops up. And then as you vent that emotional charge, be aware of any other correspondences that arise in your life that trigger that remembrance of that dream. Because many times because our consciousness tends to move through the world in levels, what a particular data point means at one level of consciousness can have a completely different meaning or association or relevance to us as we shift consciousnesses, right? But a good idea is, if you want to start getting more into dreams and doing more dream work, is to actually get in the practice of writing your dreams down immediately upon awakening, so you can go back to it. Okay, so I hope that helps. Let's see here. Agnes Marie says, damn, okay. When I do magic frame before I image cycle, do I use the magic frame on the third presupposed image or all three? Ideally, what you're doing is you're creating a gestalt of all three of those experiences and cycling that. So you take experience 1, experience 2, experience 3, you gestalt them into experience 3, create a symbol for it, and cycle that. Jay Marr is asking, what do you mean when you say lost life? When we see a line that goes across and down, this indicates what is commonly, what my teacher Lillian called a lost love line. And what it means is it means you lost an aspect of your life that was part of your golden path, part of your spiritual mission for being here. So these can be losses of people or losses of situations and circumstances. But when something comes from this area and comes across, it's now something that is a spiritual loss for you, if that makes any kind of sense. It's something that you came into this world to do, that made your heart sing, that lit you up like a Christmas tree. And for whatever reason, you lost the ability to participate or engage with that person or that activity. And when that happens, you'll mark, and that mark will start, instead of the outer canthus where most of our sadness and grief lines come, it'll start at the inner canthus, which is closer to your Taiji pole, and it'll mark down through the lung area. Let's see. Who ignored you twice? Agnes? David, I know I've been blasting the chat, but I must say massive thanks. I used burst breathing on my dislocated shoulder and it popped back into place. Ball curling stuff, but it worked. Excellent. Well done. Let's see here. Let's see. Worlds create worlds. David, I noticed you mentioned lung issues. I have gut issues. May you please share something about that? Gut issues are almost always bitterness, resentment, anger. Sometimes, are we talking about the intestines, or are we talking about the stomach and the spleen? If you can give me that, I can give you a more defined answer. Kathleen M., I heard you talk about electrolytes for anxiety once. I am remembering that correctly. Or what? I've played with several different brands of electrolytes. I've used everything from BioSteel to Body Hydration to GU, to Noon, NUUN, to Thermosalt, which is more of a runner's electrolyte. So I think they all can work. You just got to find the one that kind of is the least harmful to your system, I guess is a good way to say it. Make sure you hydrate though, because again, a lot of these things are salts, and be careful of the sugar content in them. That's, my wife would always be adamant about putting that in there. D. McSee says, David, what's your thoughts on the COVID vaccination, please? Not a fan. Not a fan. I think, once again, we go back to the idea of your body, your choice. And if you choose to get the vaccines, more power to you. If you choose not to, more power to you. Knowing what I know about the medical profession and the way things are pushed through, I knew that was going to be a cluster before it ever hit the market. Okay. So again, if I lose subscribers because you're pro-vaccine, so be it. But I'm just not a fan of it, right? But hey, you do you. I've lost friends from the vaccine too, so that, and I was not a fan of vaccination, at least in the COVID context. Prior to vaccination, when I lost my friend as a result of the vaccine, I got even more so. So, hope maybe that's what you wanted to hear. Maybe it isn't. I don't condemn anybody for vaccinating, and I don't condemn anybody for not vaccinating. I think everybody needs to be able to make their own choice about what they put in their bodies and what they don't, and nobody should have the right to mandate that. Okay. Let's see. 7.1. You gained some weight and your face looks younger, looking good. Thank you. I'm trying to get rid of the weight, so hopefully I'll stay looking younger, but I'll still lose the weight. So James is asking, thank you for your help, David. I appreciate what you do, getting better at state control, but I'm often pulled off balance by sexual compulsion. Conditioning was sexualized at 3 years old. Suggestions: regress to cause. Find a good regression therapist, good HMR practitioner, regress to 3 years old or before, and clear all that shit up. And install a better set of patterns and spend time practicing those patterns. Remember, nothing that you're carrying around is you. It's stuff you learned, right? It's stuff that you experienced once, you recorded it, and you've just been relating to those recordings ever since. Go back, change the recordings, practice new habits, and you'll change that pattern. And when you change that pattern, you'll change your consciousness and you'll change your results. Donka says, where's the beard gone? That beard makes me look so old, Donka. I feel like Father Time every time I grow one. My wife loves it, but not a fan. But it'll probably come back someday. Don't worry about it. Blue says, thank you. Revelation says, I'd like to change my scarcity mindset, my lack of financial security, my vapid life, unfilling dating life, and lastly, my inability to pursue my golden path. Revelation, I would go back and I would look at every single one of the things you just wrote and ask yourself, what do I want instead? Start doing a set of yin-formations for each of the things you want instead. And then when body feelings come up as a result of the information, unpack those body feelings and clear them. As you do that, your consciousness will shift, your perceptions of the world you live in will shift, and the behaviors that result from those perceptions will shift, and your life will change. Okay, that's the formula. Jamar says, what I mean by lot in life is that I'm not moving forward. I feel like I'm moving backwards. I don't know where I'm going. Sometimes we have to move forward to go backwards. A lot of times I felt like, where I am now versus where I was, I'm at the same place I was in 2016. And it's when I realized that that's where the change has to happen. Things are changing, and just keep moving forward. Find ways to move forward. So words create worlds says, and by the way, Jamar, look at your sentence again. I don't know where I'm going. Pick something. If you don't have a direction, you'll usually wind up any place else than what you really want. You'll be buffeted by the winds of change rather than being able to use those winds to navigate and steer your ship. So start with an outcome. Start with something that you really want and ask yourself, how am I going to get there? What needs to happen? And start taking those steps. It doesn't really matter if the direction's right or not. What matters is that it's something you want enough to start taking an action on it. Remember, the greatest GPS in the world can't help you if you stay in one spot, right? If you can have the most powerful sports car in the world, if you never turn the fucking ignition on and take it out of park and start moving, you never get anywhere. So pick something you want and go for it. It doesn't have to be big. It can be just something I want short term, and just think in little short term leaps until you see something emerges that's more long term, right? And become more fully engaged in the process of it. Not so much in the destination, but who are you becoming? What are you experiencing? What's the quality of your life along the way? It won't always be easy. In fact, most of the time it won't, but it will be challenging and it will be worthwhile. And who you become by the time you reach the goal is always worth the change. I hope that helps. I don't want to sound like I'm some self-help guru that says, just believe in yourself and do this, but a lot of times because I see patterns everywhere. When I look at what people write, so much of what needs to change is in the form of the questions that you ask. If you've ever heard me say the quality of your life is dictated by the quality of the questions you ask, that's a good example. Donka says the beard is great. Men are lucky. The older, the handsomer. Well, most women I know who have beards aren't happy about it. Shambhala Wellness Dojo. Can you briefly describe the information template? It's really simple. You state what you want, tack a because on the end, and let your mind fill in the blank. So if I say, I want financial security, I might say something like, I am now achieving financial security because I deserve to have it. And I'll say that out loud. Remember, basic principle behind yin formations is it creates a space that your neurology fills. That's the yin aspect of it, right? As opposed to saying, I now generate $100,000 a year, classic affirmation. I might say something like, I now generate $100,000 a year because I do what it takes to earn that money, right? The because triggers a neurological filter in the subconscious mind that generates a belief that allows the first half of the belief to make sense and bypasses limitations and barriers that you might have had to the original affirmation of like, I make $100,000 a year. Okay. So a because or means word, and again, if you've had killer influence or CPI, all you've got to do is tack on a cause and effect word, fill in the blank, or a complex equivalence word, fill in the blank, or do both. And you will have an affirmation that your neurology has said, we can do what you want because of this. And because your neurology has now created a reason why you can do it, you're far more likely to do it. Okay. Red Violet 182 says, I manifested a lot of good stuff on my list of wants except for a partner. Any thoughts on what that may be blocked? Yes, you're probably you have some changes that you need to go through, or there's something in the partner template that you left out. Like they're available. Because you may be meeting a lot of people that you think would be great partners, but they're with somebody. There may be some transformations coming up that you have to make in yourself that is preventing you from either attracting the partner or recognizing them. Okay. But keep cycling, because at some point the energy will build up, there will be a shift, and things will start to change. The only variable I've seen with image cycling is time. That's really the only thing. There's the old expression, difficult is easy, impossible just takes a little longer. Where image cycling is concerned, that's pretty much what I've discovered. I mean, really, it's done some crazy shit. Chiman says, what do you think is your best work or performance? In what context? I think I've done a lot of good work, but it's like apples and oranges. What give me a better question and give you a better answer. Jeanette says, David, Doctor, I just can't thank you enough for your time. You already did. You're welcome. Right. This is what I like to do. This is, spending time with you and collectively, all of you, is what makes me happy. It's my happy place. Right. And it lets me know that the things that I've learned or that my students have brought to me, or the avenues I've explored, have made a difference. I've left the world, if I died tomorrow, which hopefully I'm working on immortality, but I'm not there yet. If I shuffle off this mortal coil tomorrow, the work continues. The people we've impacted, the people we've helped change, the techniques that have gone out, they're in the world now, right? That in itself is a form of immortality. You know, a lot of us, especially those of us in the helping professions, you know, yeah, we want to be popular and we want people to love us. But at the end of the day, I think we want the world to know we were here, and we want the world to be a little bit better for us having been here. And you guys are a reminder to me of why I do this work. You know, if you'd asked me why I do this work 20 years ago, I'd have a very different answer for you. But we grow, you know. So all I ask is that, you know, when you go out and you use these things, first person you should be working on is you. If it works for you, pay it forward, teach other people how to do it, and tell them where you got it so they can come back and learn more stuff. Just tell them where you got it. That's all I care about. Oh, and of course, remember the social media stuff, like and share, like and share, like and share, right? I still have to remember to ask that shit, because when I started there, that like and share stuff was not as prevalent. I'm old school YouTube. There is such a thing, right? Of courses. Okay, again, I mean, like, what's your magnum opus of skill sets? Oh my gosh. Again, probably Killer Influence and Identity by Design. Of all the courses I've seen change lives, Killer Influence, Identity by Design, and Vibrational Influence. They're the big three, really, that I think. And people love our face reading courses, and they have dramatically enhanced people's ability to heal themselves and others. But they're more like they're extra studies. They're ways for people to understand themselves and get on a spiritual path, which you facilitate through the Identity by Design techniques and the Killer Influence techniques. So I would say that if I had to pick three, Identity by Design, Killer Influence, and Vibrational Influence are probably the big three. Let's see. Agnes says, thank you for your time. Yeah. Revelation in regards to image cycling. What are some of the most impossible things you manifested? My wife's wedding ring, my sister's school, and my doctorate degree. If you want to hear about those stories, if you go to our YouTube channel and you type in funny law of attraction stories, the video will come up. Agnes, did I miss one of your questions? Because I've shouted out to you several times, but I didn't see a question. Chimon says, DTI Jack Sparrow was a masterpiece, in my opinion. Well, again, that was part of the Identity by Design training. Now, I was doing DTI long before I created Identity by Design, but it was just a natural endpoint of building your own identity or your own ideal self. Liam Fulham says, for clarification of understanding, what's the main difference between informations and forward progressive? They feel sort of the same. Is that normal? So we're talking about present progressive, present tense, and present progressive. Present progressive is saying, like, I am now earning $100,000 a year, period. Present tense is I now earn $100,000 a year. The information is I now earn $100,000 a year because fill in the blank. Understand the distinction. Okay. Eric says, David, you've established your legacy. Well, thank you for that, Eric. Appreciate that. Somo says, hello, David. So happy to catch this live. Shimon says, thanks. I'll ask better questions in the future. Me too. No, sorry. I sent another thank you that you didn't see. No big deal. Thank you. Okay. Let's see here. Liam Folan. Okay. Thank you. That makes way more sense. Good. All right. I got about 2 more minutes. What do you got for me before I have to go and take care of stuff? I got a training starting next week and then a mega retreat. So Where'd everybody go? Oh, Soma says, do you still take in-person appointments? Anyone, I do personal sessions now for anybody who is in my Unlimited Influence Mastery Coaching or who is a member of my Mega Platinum Elite Coaching Program. They're the only ones who get personal sessions and brainstorming and stuff like that with me. For other people calling the clinic, we refer out to my trained affiliates and associates. We have 2 or 3 people that we refer out to who are very, very good at what they do. And so we'll refer you to them when you call. Do I do weed? No, I do not. I have no interest in any form of drugs, really. Let's see here. So who would be the best model for a female healer successful business? In what modalities? What modalities are we working with, Daka? Joe, Dr. Snyder, I can't seem to manifest. I've done your techniques and other people's too. Can't seem to manifest what I want. Chances are there's some things in the way you created the manifestations. There's some blocks that you need to resolve, and you haven't gotten your reps in. Chances are there's limiting beliefs that you have not cleared that are in the way of your manifestation. Those are the big 3 that I find when people are not manifesting is they haven't done it. They just haven't been doing it long enough. They have an expectation of how it's supposed to manifest. And if it doesn't manifest the way they expect, they don't recognize it. Liam says, have a wonderful, beautiful night. And thank you for your time. Sharon Doyle says, hi, David. I'm curious if you have a favorite book of any genre. Oh, that's a loaded question, Sharon. I have look behind me. I have so many books. I have lots of different genres that I enjoy. If you can give me, if you can narrow it down, I can probably give you a better selection. Becca Rose, hey, I just listened to a bunch of hypno videos, so I'm feeling very floaty and fractionated. Is that a good thing, Becca? Are you enjoying it? Sosmo says, excellent, thank you, appreciate you so much. Excellent. Revelation, whenever I do energy spinning at times, when I pull the color out, the color changes. Need I acknowledge the fact that the color changed verbally? You don't need to, but if you feel like it helps you with the process, then do it. Test it and see what happens. Eric Grant says, I'm clear and thank you. Words Create World says, David, I'm curious, what's your age? I am level 57. Matthew Boyd says, thanks, man. See you tomorrow. Daka says, I'm thinking to model for DTI who would be a nice female healer shaman who is biz successful. Melissa Tears is a great one. Some people like Wendy Friesen's work. Some people resonate with Marissa Peer. I'm not one of them, but a lot of people have found a lot of value in her work. Those are the big 3 in terms of female healers that I have found. So researching and getting a healthy selection of those people is probably a good way to start. Is there a resource of hypnotic stories? Well, you have the Teaching Tales of Milton Erickson. It's probably a good one. It really depends on the application, Lynn. Certain people in certain contexts have created hypnotic stories, like Ross Jeffries back in the day made a little mini course on how to heal with a story, or how to seduce with stories. Most people go back to the Teaching Tales of Milton Erickson. Harlan Kilstein created a resource for using stories for marketing. I created a program of how to use and create hypnotic stories for just about any application. It's called Weapons of Mass Instruction. You might want to check that out. There's a Therapeutic Metaphor by David Gordon is a good one. Kenrick Cleveland had a course on stories. So there's a bunch of them out there. Each of them flirt with the hypnotic story concept. Joe said, thank you. Everything you said is true. Mark Kane, I have watched as many of your courses on YouTube as I could find. I am truly thankful for the knowledge you have shared with all of us. Thank you. Happy Father's Weekend. Thank you, Joe. Becca Rose says, yes, it's a good thing. She's all blissed out. Is there a live tomorrow? No, there is a mastermind tomorrow, which is for all our Diamond mastermind members. So if you go to the community tab and level up your membership to the Diamond level, you'll see the Zoom invite for the mastermind, and you can come in, and we actually do this in Zoom, and we actually we do drills and stuff together. Sharon Doyle says, well, okay, I love Gillian Bridges' face reading, so maybe another book you could recommend. Eric Standop has a really good book on reading the face, if that's what you're looking for. And he has a set of flashcards, and he's a face reading teacher out of Germany. I really liked his stuff. Becca Rose, what's your favorite induction to use? For magic bullets and the safe place induction. Liam Folan says CPI2 teaches you how to create your own stories, or at least gives a foundation. Yes, thanks, buddy. You're welcome. All right, guys. Becca's certainly blissed out. In the words of the immortal Carol Burnett, I'm so glad we had this time together just to have a laugh or sing a song. Seems we just got started, and before you know it, comes the time we have to say so long. I'll see you guys. Have a great weekend. Happy Father's Day for all you guys who are fathers. We love you all. Take care. Eric Standop, Standop. Night and God bless. Take care.